in many close relationships, a question starts to echo in our minds with increasing desperation. Why can't they just change? This question doesn't arise from arrogance, nor from petty annoyance, but from deep emotional investment. We've given so much of ourselves. Time, love, energy, trust. And they have given something too. We ask this question not because we're blind to complexity, but precisely because we see so much potential in them. They're not clueless. They're not unintelligent. They understand ideas, follow logic, and can hold their own in high-level conversations. They might be the type who excelled in academia, went to respected universities, and now navigate their professional lives with finesse. And so we think, surely they can grasp this. What we are asking for doesn't seem Herculean. It's not a radical overhaul. It's about reliability, consistency. We want them to keep their word when they say they'll call, to show affection more freely, to show interest in our daily lives, to sometimes be the one to initiate closeness, to look at us with softness and presence rather than distraction. These aren't grandiose demands. They're small signals, quiet gestures, little things on which so much rests: trust, continuity, emotional safety. Sometimes even practical things. Whether we build a future together, where children grow up, who owns what, who shows up at the hospital or the funeral. And yet, despite all this, the most confusing part is that they don't exactly refuse. They don't slam the door. They don't say, "I don't love you." In fact, they often insist that they do. There are moments, glimmers, when it seems they are listening, when their eyes soften, or they hold your hand just a beat longer. They say they want to make it work too. And because we see these glimpses of connection, we hold on tighter, we try harder, we repeat what we need with patience, then frustration, then tears. And what we're asking for doesn't even seem mysterious to us. It's made up of such simple components. A few words here, a gentle gesture there, the avoidance of a sharp comment or an absent look. To many people, including ourselves, these things come naturally. It's not an achievement to say, "How was your day?" or to offer a hug when someone looks tired. These behaviors flow as instinctively as the ability to tie shoelaces or calculate a tip. So why then, for someone so clever, so articulate, does it feel impossible? Here lies the pain and the hidden truth. In most domains, effort is visible. When we watch someone climb a mountain, we see the strain in their muscles, the steepness of the path, the cuts on their fingers. We don't angrily shout, "Just hurry up," because we understand the enormity of the task. But in the emotional world, the effort is invisible. We can't see the barriers, and so we become exasperated. Why can't they just care more, try harder, reach out faster? It looks so easy, but to them, it's not. Not even close. To some, saying "I miss you" or "I need you" is as daunting as lifting a boulder with a pinky. To you, these may be 10 commonplace words, no different than "What's for dinner?" But to them, these words are heavy, unfamiliar, coated in memories and risk. Speaking them might trigger ancient fears. It might pull them back into places they've tried to escape since childhood. It's not that they won't. It's that they can't. Not yet. We often fail to see the long, slow journey that shaped their emotional wiring. We don't see the little boy who sat quietly in his room, waiting for a father who never came home. We don't see the girl who learned not to cry because no one would comfort her anyway. We don't witness the early betrayals, the unspoken rules of survival. Don't trust too much. Don't need too much. Don't expose your heart. These lessons were carved into them, not by logic, but by necessity. And over the years, these survival strategies hardened into personality traits. Being emotionally distant, staying quiet, avoiding vulnerability. These aren't signs of disregard. They're evidence of adaptation. To change those patterns would be like asking a person to unlearn the language they've spoken since birth. Not impossible, perhaps, but profoundly difficult. And it has nothing to do with their intelligence in the conventional sense. They can excel in their careers, argue skillfully, or solve complex problems. But this isn't about logic. It's about wiring, the way they were emotionally constructed. As much as we may hope otherwise, we can't just explain someone into a new way of being. We can't hand them 3 good arguments and expect them to transform. If only emotional transformation worked like that, like upgrading software, but it doesn't. If you've ever tried to change a deeply ingrained habit, you know, knowledge isn't enough. Insight isn't enough. Something deeper is required. A whole system must rewire itself. So when we find ourselves saying, why don't they just, we must pause. Because behind our frustration lies a blindness. We're not seeing the years of silent conditioning. We're not seeing the muscle memory of distrust, the layers of armor they don't even realize they wear. We're not seeing that what comes naturally to us may feel like cliff jumping to them. And here's the truth we often avoid facing. Sometimes what we are asking from another person is not just a small adjustment. It may feel like a gentle request to us. Just show me you care. Just reach out when I'm hurting. But to them, it's asking them to re-enter a burning building. It's asking them to walk toward the very thing they once escaped in order to survive. Their silence isn't always neglect. Sometimes it's fear. Their avoidance isn't rejection. Sometimes it's muscle memory. They are still acting out ancient rehearsals, unaware that they've been playing the same emotional role for decades. And this is where the heartbreak sharpens. Because love doesn't only see potential, it believes in it. And when we love someone, we often believe we can be the one to help them heal. We imagine that with enough warmth, enough safety, they will bloom. And maybe they will. But here's what no one tells us. Sometimes they don't. Not in the way we need. Not in the time frame we hoped for. Not in a way that aligns with the life we are ready to build. There is a loneliness that comes from loving someone stuck in their own cage. Not because they don't love you back, but because they don't know how to move toward you without triggering every alarm in their system. You reach out, and they flinch. You open up, and they retreat. You offer your heart, and they quietly panic, because they were never taught what to do with something so open, so unguarded. You start to feel like you're too much, too emotional, too intense. But you're not. You're just asking for connection, for reciprocity, for basic emotional literacy. And over time, the exhaustion creeps in, not just from what they don't do, but from the hope you keep carrying. Hope is heavy, especially when it's mostly carried alone. And so comes the real question. Not, why don't they change? But rather, can I accept this version of them as they are, not as I hope they'll become? That is the true crossroads. Because growth is optional. It's not a given. Some people will live their whole lives behind emotional walls, not out of cruelty, but because walls kept them safe once, and they never learned to open a door without expecting harm. You must ask yourself, is it kindness to keep waiting, or is it self-abandonment in disguise? We like to tell ourselves that patience is love, that endurance is virtue. But sometimes, patience becomes a mask for self-erasure. We dim our own needs in the name of loyalty. We postpone our joy in the name of potential. We become quiet architects of someone else's healing while neglecting the structure of our own emotional life. And that's where the quiet grief sets in. The grief of almost, of what could be, of what love might have become if only they were ready. And here is the most painful truth of all. You can love someone deeply with your whole being and still realize that you cannot build a life with them. Not because the love isn't real, but because love is not enough without readiness. Love requires action. Healing requires willingness. And partnership requires compatibility, not just in values or humor, but in emotional availability. You cannot pull someone out of a cave if they don't want to leave. And you cannot keep climbing into that cave yourself without losing parts of who you are. So, what do you do when you love someone who isn't ready? You honor the love, but you honor yourself more. You grieve the dream. You cry the tears. And then, you build a life where emotional safety is not a prize you beg for, but a baseline you expect. You allow yourself to be loved in return, not in theory, not in someday, but in daily, tangible, lived experience. You remind yourself that your needs are not too much, that asking for consistency, affection, communication, these are not high-maintenance demands. These are the soil in which real connection grows. And when someone cannot meet you there, not because they are evil or manipulative, but because they are emotionally unprepared, you don't punish them, but you don't wait forever either. Sometimes, the bravest thing is to say, I love you, but I need more than love. I need partnership. I need presence. I need someone who doesn't just see my worth, but knows how to show up for it. Because at the end of the day, relationships are not built on potential. They are built on shared reality, on showing up, on the capacity to repair, on the courage to be soft, even when it's scary, on doing the small, daily work of intimacy. Not perfectly, but willingly. If you've reached this point in the story, know this. Your clarity is not cruelty. Your boundaries are not betrayal. Your sadness is valid. And your longing for reciprocity is holy. You are not asking for too much. You are simply asking in the wrong direction.